All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining me here live on our YouTube broadcast. Let me go get my mic situated here. All right. So tonight, we are, again, we're talking about Easy Lease, and we are making some strides moving forward. We've got a couple of investors now. We still, we're still about $180,000 shy. I'm sorry, I take that back. We're about $580,000 shy of where we need to be. Okay, because we were trying to raise 600,000. I've actually I'm putting up my house, for collateral. So I'm putting up my house as collateral to help protect, would-be investors from loss. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the comparison, how Easy Lease closely resembles Turo, and why we feel so strongly that Easy Lease is going to be a sure success, because it is following in the footsteps of Turo rental cars. As you all know, Turo allows regular individuals to list their vehicles on their on their mobile application, and then people who want to rent those vehicles, they come and they view the vehicles, they arrange for the pickup, they make the payment right there on the app, and they come pick the vehicles up. Well, Easy Lease is somewhat similar to that, but we're dealing with commercial vehicles, okay? And we're going to be going over the similarities in those two platforms and why we feel that Easy Lease is a sure thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, so here at myeasylease.com is where you can go to find, our website at myeasylease.com. And if you go over and click on the Invest in Easy Lease, it'll bring you to this page here where it basically tells you what Easy Lease is. Easy Lease, the peer-to-peer commercial vehicle rideshare mobile application for the global market. That's right. Easy Lease is not just for the United States. We call it for the global market because we're going to be in the same markets that Turo launched in. That's here in the United States, Australia, France, the UK, and there's one more. I can't quite fix it right now, but I know United States, France, Australia, United Kingdom, and that's another one. I can't quite place it right now. But we're going to be in the same markets as Turo is. Why? Because the traffic laws and the commercial, driving restrictions and regulations for commercial vehicles, they're pretty much very similar to the U.S. Okay, that's what made it possible for Turo to launch in those countries as well, because the driving laws, the restrictions, the requirements, the regulations, they're all pretty much almost the same. So that's going to make it a very good transition for us to launch our mobile application in the same manner. All right. So, but anyway, if you come to the invest page, you can come down and you can view some of our latest videos that kind of explain what we are and how we're set up. We even have one on here that talks about that shows you a little bit about putting my home up as collateral. But we're going to be going over that also too. So let's go ahead and go to the Easy Lease Turo comparison. Okay, we're going to click on this and we're going to take you to the comparison. And this pretty much lays out our plan. Lays out why I decided to do this 2 years ago when I started researching it. And one of the reasons why the more research I did, the more due diligence I did on this, the more I was convinced that this is a sure thing. This is pretty much a sure thing. All right. So as you see here, it says Turo, way better than a rental car, and Easy Lease, the global mobile application, is way better than a lease purchase. All right. Let's go into going over all the similarities. Okay. Easy Lease, I'm going to go and read straight from the site here. And you all can view this by going to the site yourself. You can go to myeasylease.com and click on the Invest in Easy Lease. Put your cursor over that. It's going to pull up a drop down that says the Easy Lease Turo comparison. You can click on it and pull all this information up. Easy Lease is a commercial vehicle version of Turo. Turo is a peer-to-peer car rental marketplace that allows users to rent cars from local hosts in various countries. EasyLease will be the first global peer-to-peer commercial vehicle rideshare mobile application that connects commercial vehicle owners globally with DOT-compliant renters. Now, we say DOT because most people think DOT is just for the United States, but there's a Department of Transportation in just about all those countries that we're going to be in. They each have their own Department of Transportation. Okay, so they have their guidelines and regulations, certifications, things that you need to do. Well, it's pretty much the same as it is here in the United States in the countries that we're going to be operating in. Okay, all right. Two business models sharing striking similarities has proven to be the formula for great success in recent years. Uber's success paved the way for Lyft. In fact, Turo is very similar to Airbnb for cars, where hosts list their vehicles on the platform and set their own prices, availability, and rules. Renters can search for cars by location, price, type, and more, and then rent directly from the host. EasyLease will be the Airbnb and Turo mobile application for the trucking and commercial vehicle global markets. Okay, so EasyLease pretty much is the Turo for the commercial vehicles, where we will have a mobile application just like Turo does, where commercial vehicle owners can come and list their commercial vehicles. Okay, they're going to be able to set their prices of what they want on a weekly rental. But unlike Turo, these are not short-term rentals. You're going to have to enter into on the app. There's going to be an agreement form where you enter into a 6-month or a 1-year rental of those commercial vehicles, especially the big trucks. Now, we may have shorter agreements for the cargo vans and sprinter vans, but when it comes to the semi trucks with trailers, box trucks, things like that, those are going to be 6 months to a year. 6 months is going to be the shortest rental time that you can do. We were kind of playing with the idea of introducing a 3 or 4 month rental for the box trucks, and maybe a 4-month rental for the semi. But it kind of defeats the purpose, because the whole reason why we're going to be getting a lot of people wanting to rent these vehicles is because, first of all, they're going to be able to keep 100% of their line haul. That's a huge plus. That is a game changer, being able to keep 100% of your line haul. Secondly, they are not going to need to have any type of, seasoning on their driving experience. You can be fresh out of truck driving school. Okay, as long as you got that valid CDL, you get your authority, and you have your insurance and permits. You got your permits in place and everything. You will be able to come onto the app and book a vehicle. A truck and trailer, power only, auto haul trailers with trucks, heavy duty or heavy haul trailers with trucks. All these things you'll be able to come on and do. Box trucks, sprinter vans, cargo vans. Okay, and you'll be able to do these things to come on, rent your truck and go out and drive and make money like an owner operator, like a real owner operator. Not the lease owner operators that they have now, because you have a lot of owner operators out there. The majority of owner operators out now are not really true owner operators. They're lease purchase, lease to buy, lease to own. They're leased on with some other company rather than need someone else's authority, and they're giving up 20 to 30% of their money that they're making. They're giving up 20 to 30% of the line haul, on top of paying a lease payment, on top of paying the hidden fees and all the other fees. And this is why the majority of owner operators out there now can barely break $4,000 gross. That's before they take out anything, before they take out fuel, before they take out their lease payment, before they take out any other hidden fees that they have. They're barely breaking $400 to $4,500. After they take out everything, they're taking home somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 to $1,000. I don't call that being independent, and the reason why they can't make the money, because they're not free to go out and grab the freight that pays good money. There's still a lot of good paying freight out there. Believe it or not, there's a great paying freight out there. I was on the load board just last Saturday, where I showed you all in one of my videos, where I was on a Saturday night in Florida, we found over 300 to 500 loads that were paying more than $275 per mile. That's right. On a Saturday, 8:30 at night in Florida, where everybody says you can't make money. So, that's not the case. The reason why a lot of these owner operators are not making money, because they're not free to go out and grab the freight that pays the money. They have to run the freight that's sent to them, that's dispatched to them, because they can't self-dispatch. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and finish up. Okay. Two business models sharing striking similarities has proven to be the formula of great success in recent years. Uber's success paved the way for Lyft. In fact, Turo is very similar to Airbnb for cars, where hosts list their vehicles on the platform and set their own prices, availability, and rules. Renters can search for cars by location, price type, and more, and then rent directly from the host. Lease will be the Airbnb and Turo mobile application for the trucking and commercial vehicle mobile market. Okay. Turo's success is due to a number of factors. Turo, which allows people to rent out personal vehicles, was able to fill the niche. From 2021 to 2023, Turo's net revenues have grown nearly 88% to $879 million, $879.6 million last year alone. The company has been profitable since 2021 now, and it has filed to go public. Now, that's very, I want to put an emphasis on what they've accomplished in under 4 years. Okay, in about 3 years, this company went from a startup, its inception, from a startup in 2021, and they were profitable from day one. Okay, rather than they went through their pre-seed funding round and they raised the money to get the company to actually start the company. They launched in 2021. They had their pre-seed funding round in 2020. Okay, in 2020, last part of 2019 and 2020, they had their pre-seed funding round. Well, I do believe they raised about 1.2 or $2.1 million is what they raised for their pre-seed funding round. Now, for those of you who did not see my other videos, pre-seed funding is the beginning stage, is the only stage where regular people, ordinary people, people who are not accredited investors, people who do not have a net worth of $1.5 million, who do not make more than $200,000 as a single person or $300,000 as a couple. Okay, this is the only stage in the development of a company where regular people can invest, become early investors, and become one of the owners of that company, or become principal shareholders or part owners of that company. In other words, they get a percentage of the company for their investment to help the company get started. And then when the company gets started, they create shares and they get millions of shares for their, $10, $12, $20,000. So they get no shares for less than a penny per share. That is the only time that the SEC allows regular people to invest in a startup company. Okay. After that, only wealthy people can invest. Hedge funds, money management firms, investment banks, people who have a net worth of more than $2 million, people who have $1.5 million in assets, people who make more than $300,000 a year as a couple and make more than $200,000 a year as a single person. Only they can invest after the pre-seed funding round. And then when it gets to the IPO stage, then regular people can then buy the public stock. But the public stock is way much higher than what the people who got in at the pre-seed funding stage got in for and got their shares of ownership. This is why when a company goes public, all those people that invested in that pre-seed funding round, they all become billionaires. Okay? Literally, they all become billionaires because they got 3, 5, 20 million shares. In some cases, less than $20,000. Okay, that makes those shares less than a penny per share. And then when it gets to the IPO stage, and then the SEC gives an evaluation of the company, and they put a value on their public stock, because with private stock they may create, they can create anywhere from 400 million to 1.2 billion shares when it's private stock. And then they give half or 60% of those shares to the owners. The other 40% of those shares are left over for those accredited investors to invest in the series A, B, C, D, and E. After they raise all this money in those series, then the company can file to go public. And when they do that, the company gets an evaluation, and the stock gets evaluated, and then they can create another 1 billion, 1.5 billion shares, or 2 billion shares. They can now sell to the general public worldwide, but those shares are coming in anywhere from $40 a share to $200 a share, depending on what the valuation of the company is. So as you can see, getting 3 million shares for $6,000 in the pre-seed funding round, you can't do that when it goes public. Even if the shares were only, $1 a share, piss poor. I mean, if the SEC says your company is trash and they give you an evaluation where your shares are only worth $1 a share, a person wanting to get 3 million shares then will have to spend $3 million. Well, you got your 3 million shares for what? Less than a penny. So now when those shares become worth, let's say if they're only worth $1, the person that got those 3 million shares for less than a penny, per share, their net worth is now $3 million. God forbid if the SEC gives that evaluation at $50 a share, $60, $70, $85 a share, which is about average. If the company gets a great evaluation, it's over $100 a share. You see how all those people become billionaires then. Okay, but I just wanted to stress that point because we're getting ready to go into this phase of it. Okay, the company has been profitable since 2021, and it has filed to go public, which means their pre-seed funding round investors will become billionaires. And this was accomplished in under 4 years. If you want to go to the source of this information that I'm giving you, is in the source is Forbes magazine. It's a great article. I would advise you all to click on it and read it. The CFO of Turo was they had an expose and an interview with the CEO of Turo, and this is where all this information that I gather on Turo is coming from. Okay, currently, Lease is in its pre-seed funding stage, and there's still time to become a principal shareholder and one of our owners. Okay, we are currently seeking to raise $600,000 in our pre-seed funding stage. Okay, the SEC says that me as a founder, I can reach out to family, friends, and associates. Associates can be my YouTube followers, my Facebook followers, my Instagram followers, my TikTok followers, I can reach out to people personally and say, hey, look, I'm trying to raise money to build this mobile application that's very similar to Turo, but for the commercial vehicle industry. Okay. And for that, if you invest in the pre-seed funding stage, you're going to be gifted a whole bunch of shares once we create the company and create those shares. Okay. SEC said we cannot officially create the company until we reached our pre-seed funding goal. Okay. A company that's already got its LLC and registered with their articles of incorporation and things like that, they can't have a pre-seed funding round because they're already a company. Pre-seed funding is just what it says. It precedes the development of the company. This is why regular people can invest during that stage. After it becomes a company, no. If you're not worth $1.5 million, if you're not making $200,000 a year, if you're not making $300,000 a year as a couple, and you must prove this, you must submit your tax returns and everything to prove this, you cannot invest in a company during those other rounds. The only time you are able to invest in that company is when it goes public. And that stock becomes registered. It becomes registered stock, registered shares. Right now, We're not a company yet because we're in the pre-seed funding stage. You all have an opportunity to invest in it, just like they did with Turo, just like those people did with Uber and Lyft, and all those people became billionaires. Airbnb, same thing. They're all billionaires now. And now Turo is getting ready to file. I take it they file the application to go public, which means they're going to become billionaires and they did it in 3 short years. That's crazy. That's crazy. They did it on average. Most startups take 6 to 8 years before they go public. But because that niche was so great, they was able to do it in just 3 years. And the trucking and commercial vehicle industry is ready for that same type of application or platform to come in, because as you're going to see, it's uncannily how similar the situations are for what we're bringing and for what Turo have already accomplished. Okay. As I said, currently EasyLease is in its pre-seed funding stage, and there's still time to become a principal shareholder and one of our owners. EasyLease will closely mirror Turo's first and second year strategy of investing in 3 fundamental areas. We will invest in our host commercial vehicle and trucking community. We'll invest in our platform, and we'll invest in our team and our people. EasyLease will be a very data-driven company. We'll track the activity of our marketplace very closely on a day-to-day basis so we can see how bookings are developing. Now, that's exactly what Turo did. That's exactly what they did. So why would we change anything? We're going to do the same thing. Why? Because we're developing the same type of platform, the same type of mobile application, but we're developing it not for personal vehicles, but we're developing it for commercial vehicles, people who own commercial vehicles. Okay? We're developing this same platform. That's what we're developing. Okay? Let's go on. Okay. With average weekly earnings of $1,450, we know we're going to get a ton of host vehicles from both private commercial vehicle owners and even more from failed trucking companies and fleets with parked vehicles. We're going to go over that here in just a second. We're also going to get an enormous amount of bookings from dissatisfied and disgruntled company drivers, as well as lease owner operators who make up more than 75% of all owner operators due to EasyLease's 100% line haul pay, which means anybody who books a vehicle with EasyLease, they're going to be able to keep 100% of their line haul paid directly to them by the freight provider. They're not paid by us. They're not paid by EasyLease. All they do for EasyLease, they go to the app, they pick out a vehicle, they arrange to pick it up, they put forth their, they show their insurance, they show their CDL, they show their proof of plates and permits, and then they, make the arrangement right there on the app. They get the vehicle, and they make their weekly payments through the app. Now, when they choose and pick up freight and deliver freight, none of that money goes through EasyLease. That money is paid directly to them by the freight providers. EasyLease has nothing to do with that. Okay, so therefore they keep 100% of their line hauls. 100%, no 80-20 split, no 15% holdback. As you see here, 100% of the line haul, no holdbacks, no seasoning on authority, no seasoning on company driving experience, freedom to self-dispatch with no approval required. Now let me make sure y'all understand what I just said there now. Okay? 75% of owner operators are not true owner operators. 75% of owner operators, they are leasing their vehicles through a lease to own, lease to purchase, lease to drive, whatever, some type of leasing program. Or they're running under another company's authority because they don't have their own authority. So they're running on someone else's authority. And all of those companies split. They take a cut. They take a percentage of the money you're out there driving for and hauling for, and the money you're making every single week. They're taking a percentage of that, anywhere from 20 to 35%. Because they're taking 20% and they're giving you a lease payment. Most of these companies have a holdback of 15%. So that's a total of 35%. That holdback that they're keeping is usually in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 weeks. This is why 75% of owner operators say they can barely make $4,500 a week. They may be driving and but they can barely make $4,500 a week because, first off, they don't have the freedom to go grab the freight that pays good. They can only run the freight that's sent to them. That's the big reason right there. And then the rest of it is they're splitting their pay. And then they have all these hidden fees, including a mileage fee for driving the truck more than a certain amount of miles. Well, you don't have that with Easy Lease. You just make the lease payment. If you need to drive, more miles than what the average truck company says you can drive for, I'm not saying break your hours of service rule, right? I'm not saying that, but if you're driving and you're making money, you're staying within the hours of service, you know how to work that clock, by all means, do so. You're an owner-operator. Do your thing. That's what a true owner-operator does, a person who buys their own truck and they own their own truck. They don't pay a 30 cent per mile when you go over a certain number of miles. So we're not going to, have that where people have to pay 30 cents a mile, 20 cents a mile if you go over a certain number of miles. No, of course not. Because Easy Lease is going to allow you to be a true owner operator. But the only difference is you don't own the truck. You're just renting the truck. But you have all the privileges, benefits, rights of a regular owner operator who owns their truck and is taking 100% of the line haul. And you don't have all these restrictions that you currently have now with the trucking industry. Okay. All of this, which leads to an average of $4,250 to $6,500 plus take home weekly for operators. I'm not talking about gross. We're talking $4,200 to $6,500 plus take home when running under the Easy Lease program. Those are numbers. Okay? Not gross. That's take home. That's after you pay your fuel. After you paid your insurance, after you paid your lease payment, right? Or your rental payment, as we would know, as what it really is, because it's really a long-term rental. That's after you paid all that. That's your take home under the Easy Lease program. Okay? Turo, the network. Turo has a network of thousands of vehicles in the United States, Canada, that's the other place, Canada, France, the United Kingdom, and Australia. Like Turo, Easy Lease will be able to operate in and service the same international markets as these markets share very similar traffic laws and commercial vehicle regulations, certifications, and licensing requirements. Hosts. Turo has over 165,000 active hosts, including consumer hosts, small business hosts, and professional hosts. Ironically, more than 32 million registered commercial vehicles, 2.9 million of which are semi-trucks, and 3.5 million fleets currently in North America. That's a lot. And that's just in North America. We're not talking about Canada. We're not talking about France, the United Kingdom, or Australia. This is just in North America alone. Okay? As reported on May 15, 2023, more than 31,000 fleets surrendered their authority. More than 31,000 fleets in the United States went out of business in 2023 between January and April. Think about that for a second. That's a lot of trucks that's just sitting out there that ain't doing nothing. And Easy Lease will give them an opportunity to list those trucks and make, on average $1,450 a week without having any liability. Ain't that something? They ain't got to worry about plates and permits. They ain't got to worry about, because the driver is bringing their own insurance, their own permits, their own plates, their own authority. So now those trucks that all these fleets have closed shop on, these people who own these trucks, they're just sitting out there. Now they have a place to list them, and those trucks now be earning money every single week, on average $1,450 a week. That's like $76,000, $78,000, $79,000 a year. Okay, per vehicle. Okay, per vehicle. Okay, all right. So they surrendered operating authorities between January and April last year. 24,806 were one truck outfits. That's a lot of private individuals who got their trucks just sitting out there and they ain't making no money on them. They just sitting because they done surrendered their authority on them, and they just sitting there because they just couldn't cut it in 2023. The trucking industry took a big hit. So we're definitely going to have a lot of hosts to list their vehicles onto the Easy Lease platform. We're definitely going to have a lot of hosts who are going to be listing their vehicles onto the Easy Lease platform. Okay. The stage is set and the conditions are ideal for Easy Lease to be even more successful than Lyft following Uber, and as successful as Turo following Airbnb. Okay. Variety of vehicles. Turo offers a huge variety of vehicles, including the Nissan Versa, Audi S5, Cabaret, Cadillac CT5, Porsche, Panamera, the Porsche 718 Boxer, and Chevy Corvette, and many others. The commercial vehicle community has an equally impressive lineup of commercial vehicles for Easy Lease to showcase. Okay, because we're going to be doing everything from semi trucks to with tractors and trailers to single cab, the semi trucks to box trucks to cargo vans to sprinter vans, the whole works in commercial vehicles, and we're going to be able to operate in international markets. Okay, so what are we seeking? We're seeking a total of $600,000 in pre-seed funding for 40% principal ownership of the startup RBBS Transport LLC Easy Lease, 120 million shares, and the founder, myself, I'm offering my home as collateral to protect early investors from loss. Okay, there's a video here, of my home and a little bit about the business and a little bit about the neighborhood that this house I'm in that shows you, the value of this home. The collateral property, a 2,350 square foot heated and cooled single family residence, has a current value of $453,000 with a yearly appreciation of 12.4% per year. That puts it with a 5-year appreciation value of $813,685. As we're only seeking $600,000 in the pre-seed round, and once we get that, $200,000 that's going to go to pay off the home because that's about what I owe on it. Okay, and then that will leave the home free and clear. And then all of the investors who participated in the pre-seed round, all the owners of the company, they will be placed on the deed of the property that will be free and clear. So if anything happens, God forbid, if I walk out and get hit by a car or something, whatever the case may be, and no one else is able to step up and run the company the way I envision it, right? You all have an asset that you can easily sell for $850,000 to easily insulate all shareholders from loss. Okay? So how much do I believe in this? How much confidence do I have in Easy Lease? Well, I'm showing you how much confidence I have. I'm going to play this little video for you so you all can see what this home looks like. I'm not going to pick my camera up and walk around now, but I'm going to play this video for you and let you all see what this home looks like. Let me open it up here so you all can see it. Hopefully you all can see the whole thing. And I'm hoping you all can hear it. also 2.
Hugging Lake Lamonia in northeast Tallahassee, Killern Lakes offers loads of outdoor recreation and large homes on spacious lots right outside Florida's capital. Here you'll find a variety of house styles, from brick ranch-style homes on spacious lawns and traditional brick homes to millennial models and brand new builds with craftsman features. Most homes range from $250,000 to $600,000. Although those with larger floor plans can climb to $1 million. Killern Lakes is home to several high-ranking public schools, including Killern Lakes Elementary, boasting an A on Niche, and Deer Lake Middle with an A-. A-rated Lawton Chili's High School offers an applied technology program. Take the kids to Catesta Park to climb on the shaded playgrounds or shoot hoops at the basketball court. At Half-Acre Lake Arrowhead Park, take a stroll around the forested shoreline. Nearby, Bull Headley Boat Ramp funnels into Lake Lamonia. A nearby 6,000-acre lake featuring fishing and paddling. Tee off at Golden Eagle Country Club, whose fairways vein throughout the neighborhood. Check items off your weekly shopping list at Publix, located in the Shops at Bannerman Village. For a morning pick-me-up, head to Lucky Goat Coffee to grab an espresso and a bag of beans from this Tallahassee-based coffee roaster. For fine dining, there's Z. Barty's Italian cuisine. Less than 15 miles from downtown Tallahassee, Killern Lakes offers natural beauty and outdoor recreation within reach of the capital.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all can watch that, a little bit later on, if you like, the rest of it. But as you can see, you know, I love my home. I do. I worked very hard for it over the years. I love my home. You know, 2008, 2009, I was homeless. So I've worked extremely hard. I started my first business from the homeless shelter. And shortly after that, I got into trucking. So this industry has been great to me. Phenomenal. This industry has been great to me. I've been very successful in this industry. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, what do I know about, this industry, the trucking industry? Well, I know a lot, but let me explain something to you. Easy Lease is not a trucking company. It isn't. It is a software company. Just like Uber is not a taxi cab company, or Lyft, they're a software company. Just like Airbnb is not a real estate, no investment or rental company. They're a software company. Just like Turo is not a rental car company, they are a software company. And Easy Lease is going to be a software company, not a trucking company. This is the reason why all those companies have been able to be so very successful, is because they didn't have to bear the overhead, the expenses, the regulations, the restrictions of those particular industries that their software has been introduced to. Okay? Let's make something very clear. Easy Lease is not a trucking company. It is a software company. Okay? We are a peer-to-peer commercial vehicle rideshare mobile application for the global markets. That's what we are. So, because I know a lot of you are in trucking, because you know trucking. A lot of you say, well, Calvin, how are you going to do all this? They got all these rules. Yeah, but we're not a trucking company. We're a software company. And the great thing about it is all those companies that came before us, they've already fought the battles. They won them. They established that peer-to-peer software can be introduced into an industry and not have to bear the same standards, rules, regulations, certification as that industry does, because all they're doing is introducing a software for the people in that industry to use. That's it. Therein lies the success of those platforms. They've got a new rideshare platform out there called InRide. It's just launched here in Tallahassee. So that's a third company like Uber and Lyft, a third one now. And they're very successful already. So Easy Lease coming into this market and introducing something into the commercial vehicle community is huge. It's going to be huge. Okay, it is going to be huge. All right. And like I said, I believe in this so wholeheartedly that I'm putting my house up as collateral. And I love my home. I love this neighborhood. This house is situated in the most prestigious and premier neighborhood in and around the Tallahassee, Florida area. This is the place to be. So if something does happen to me, rest assured, you all, the shareholders and the other owners of the company, you will have an asset that will be completely free of all liens, because I'm going to take that $220,000, pay off this house. It will be lien free. And then each and every last one of our early investors will be listed on the deed. That's how much I believe in Easy Lease. Okay? So that's how much I believe in Easy Lease. Okay? So that would give each of the investors more than enough money to recoup whatever losses that they may suffer, in case of my untimely demise or something like that. Okay, so that really makes this investment opportunity a stress-free, worry-free, no hassle. Okay, because on average it takes a company, 4 to 6 years to go public. Well, Turo did it in 3 years. And I suspect we can do it in 3 to 4 years also too, since we are a very similar company. Okay. We can do it in 3 to 4 years also too. And as I've already shown you, in 3 years, this property is going to be worth well over $800,000. That's well over $200,000 more than what we're seeking for in our pre-seed funding round. Okay. So all of the early investors, you'll be well protected, okay, and insulated from loss. All right. Principal shareholder ownership levels are as follows. Now, I want y'all to understand that we're seeking a total of $600,000. Once we get that $600,000, we can no longer take any more money from anyone if you're not an accredited investor. So after we reach our $600,000 funding goal, pre-seed funding goal, it is illegal. Let me repeat. It is a federal crime, a federal offense for us to take money from anybody who is not an accredited investor after we reach that $600,000 funding round. Because what's going to happen is, once we reach that, then we're going to officially start the company. We're going to file our articles of incorporation, where all of the people who invested in that pre-seed round, they're listed on the articles of incorporation as owners of the company and principal shareholders. Principal shareholders are those people who own more than 10% of the company. If you don't own at least 10% of the company, you're listed as one of the owners. You're still an owner. You're just not a principal shareholder, not a principal owner. The difference between a principal owner and the regular owners, principal owners have voting rights. Okay? So if you own at least 10% of the company, you have voting rights. Okay? You have a say-so in how the company is ran and the operations, how the money is spent, and all that type of stuff. Okay? Now, all the owners have their percentages of the company, and they get their dividend checks, and by the bylaws that were set after we file the articles of incorporation, file with the state of Florida, all that stuff. Once we do that, the SEC then says we can create shares. Okay? At that point, we will create 500 to 600 million shares. Okay? What we're banking on that we're going to create is 500 million shares. 500 million shares. Okay, it's common practice for startups to create somewhere between 300 million and 1.2 to 1.5 billion shares. Okay, why so many shares? Because you create that many shares because you want to reward the owners of the company for their participation in the early seed funding round. So with those 500 million shares, 60% of those 500 million shares are going to go to the owners of the company. 300 million shares for them to split and divide based on the percentage of the company that they own. The other 200 million shares is for the accredited investors who we're going to be raising capital from in the Series A, B, C, D, and E rounds. Those people who are worth more than $1.5 million, capital investment firms, money management firms, hedge funds, and things like that. Okay, and from each one of those rounds, the shares get more expensive. They're still privately owned stock, privately owned shares, because we are a privately owned company, and those shares are unregistered, but they will become quite a bit more expensive. Okay, we may have a company, a money management firm may look at us and say, hey, y'all got 200 million shares. We'll take 10 million shares for $25 million. Well, that's a lot more money than what you spent in the pre-seed funding round. For your, you got 3 million. If you do $4,687, you're getting 937,500 shares. If you spend $9,375, you're getting 1,875,000 shares. If you spend $18,700, you're getting 3,750,000 shares. All of those, which is less than a penny a share. Do the math on that. Let's do the math on the lowest investment level. Okay. Let me pull up my calculator and let's do the math on the lowest investment level of $4,687. You're getting 937,500 shares. That is 0.3125% of the company. How do we reach those numbers? Remember, 500 million shares, 60% of that is 300 million. Right? That goes to the owners of the company. You take that times the 0.3, so that's 0.3125%. And that gives you, that 936,000 shares. I left off a zero on my 300 million shares. Let me do it right. 300 million shares. I did 300,000. There we go. 300 million shares times 3. I'm sorry. Get that back. Times 0.3125%. And there you have it. 937,500 shares is what you get for your $4,687. Now, let's see what you paid for each one of those shares. What those shares are, what they actually cost you real money per share. So you spent $4,687. That's what you spent for your share. Divide that by 937,500. So you're spending 0.00, not even a penny, 0.004999% of a penny. So you're spending about a half a cent per share. Think about that. Not even a whole penny. You're spending about a half a cent per share. Now you all are understanding how the wealthy keeps getting wealthier and everybody else just keeps treading water. Because the only chance, let me repeat this, the only chance that an everyday, average, ordinary person has to become a multimillionaire or billionaire really is to be in on the pre-seed funding round of a startup. Be in on investing in a company before it becomes a company. If you're not doing that, you really have no chance of really becoming that kind of wealthy in that time frame. Okay. Somebody says, can you make money from there? Look, yes, indeed, you can make money from there. Okay. All right. But let me finish up what I'm talking about, and then I will address that for you. All right. So we have that many shares for just $4,687. Now, here's what happens. We go through these next phase of funding, and during that time, we're using that money to invest in the areas that we said we're going to invest in. First of all, building the app. Okay, that's number one. We got to invest in building the app. That's going to cost us about $50,000, somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 for a great app like the Turo app, or like the Uber app, or the Lyft app, whatever, to build the mobile application. That's going to cost us about $50,000. After we build the app, we're going to have to invest in marketing and bringing in the hosts, promoting that app, putting it out there in all the markets, all the different areas, and getting people to come on and list their vehicles. That means social media marketing, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all social media marketing, right? That means some streaming channel marketing. Get on some of these streaming channels that have like ice truckers and stuff like that. Stuff that truckers and people who own trucks love to go to, and stuff like that. Okay, even getting into some of the television and magazine print. Okay, social media marketing is nowhere near what it used to cost back in the day. Why? Because we have AI now, so all of our ads can be created through AI, which cuts our costs almost 95% on creating great marketing ads and putting them on social media. Okay. All the trucking groups and things like that. Okay. Being part of the conversations, all that type of stuff. Even streaming channel now, with cutting the cost of what it takes to create a great looking ad. Guess what? AI does all that now. Click of a button, type in a few phrases, and you got your ads. They come, they can even create real people to be in your ad, standing in front of real trucks and things like that. So we're going to be putting about another 45,000 in the marketing. Okay. After that, then we invest in our people. Okay. Invest in the host, invest in the app, the host, people. Okay. Now we're bringing in money. Why? Because we got hosts on the app. We got people coming to the app to do things and book the vehicles and all this type of stuff. And as they're booking vehicles, we're making money in other areas too, like dispatching. For those truck drivers who want us to dispatch and find them great paying freight, right? We're going to be able to dispatch for them. And we're only going to charge 10%. 5% goes to that to the actual dispatcher. Other 5% goes to Easy Lease. We're still not touching any of the money because we're just simply dispatching, and we don't need any type of authority or DOT number to dispatch. Okay, and the driver themselves still takes 90% of their line haul if they elect to, use our national network of dispatchers. Okay. Other areas that we're going to make money in is, guess what? The app is going to have on it its own load board. But this load board is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be what we call a high dollar load board, which means all the loads on that load board are going to be no less than $2.50 per mile. Every load on the load board would be $2.50 per mile or greater. Now, how do we do this? When we're building the app, we use a software that's going to pull all the high-paying freight from all the load boards out there and place them on the app so that anybody who is who has that app, the Easy Lease app, they'll be able to use that load board. And the only loads that they're seeing is high-dollar loads. None of these loads that's paying $1.50, $1.75, not even loads that's paying $1.99. If it's not paying $2.50, it will not be showing up on our high dollar load board that will be on the app. Okay, how do we make money from that? Well, to access the load board, $29.99 a month, or something like that to access the load board on the app. Will we make money on factoring? Yes, because we have partnerships with factoring companies because these drivers, they want to get paid quickly. And we have factoring companies that we've entered into relationships with. Well, when they do factoring, we get 25% of the factoring fee. Ain't that something? Is there other ways that we can make money? Yes, there is. At some point in time, we may decide to go ahead and become a broker or get our broker's bond or whatever the case may be. And then develop relationships with shippers. But unlike other brokers out there, we'll be freely and readily giving what? Our invoice to the carrier so they know exactly what our margins are. Complete transparency without them having to even ask for it. All those things mean what? Revenue, money that's coming in, and we do not have to adhere to the same rules, regulations, certifications as any other trucking company because we're not a trucking company. We're a software developer. That's it. Therein lies the blueprint for being able to be extremely profitable, just like an Uber, just like a Lyft, just like a Turo, just like an Airbnb, and just like the new one that just came out, InDrive. Easy Lease will fall right in that same line of mobility software. We're a software company, not a trucking company. Okay? All right. Principal shareholders' ownership levels are as follows. Okay? If one person comes up with $600,000, guess what? One person gets 40%. Well, that's not possible right now because we already have a couple of investors that came in at the lowest level. So they won't quite get a total 40% of the company if they come up with the other 584,000. I think that's what it is, something like that. 592,000. Yeah, we're about 8,000. We got about $8,000 in already. A little over $8,000. Because we had a couple people that came in at the 46.87 level. So if one person comes up with the rest, they will own about 38% of the company, 37.5% of the company, not 40%. Now, if someone comes up with 300,000, they own 20% of the company. If someone comes up with 150,000, they own 10% of the company. And the levels at the 20% ownership of the company, that person would get 60 million shares. Okay? For $300,000. And they will be a principal owner because they own more than 10% of the company. If someone comes up with 10% of the company, comes up with $150,000, they own 10% of the company and they get 30 million shares. So 20% gets 60 million shares, 10% gets 30 million shares. Okay? And they also will be a principal owner because they own at least 10% of the company, which means they have voting right. They have a say-so in how the company is ran, the daily operations, and all that type of stuff. Okay? Someone comes up with $75,000, they own 5% of the company, and they get 15 million shares. Someone comes up with $37,500, they get 2.5% ownership of the company and 7.5 million shares. Again, if someone comes up with $18,750, they own 1.25% of the company with 3,750,000 shares. If someone comes up with $9,375, they own 0.625% of the company, and they get 1,875,000 shares. And then at the lowest level, if someone comes in at $4,687, they get 0.3125% ownership of the company and 937,500 shares. Now, your percentage is what gives you your dividends, amount. Okay, once we start doing revenue, and I'm gonna do a quick little revenue number here. You can go back and look at the projected shareholders, the earnings, the potential earnings video to see that. But I'm gonna give a quick run through here. All right, the average leasing company out there with all their holdbacks and splitting the fees and not being able to self-dispatch and got all these hidden fees. The average leasing company has about 400 trucks that they're running, active leases. Okay, that's with all the drawbacks. Okay, they're still running 400 trucks active on average, just average. Let's say we only get 100, active leases out the first year, just 100. The average lease $2,400, or the average rental, weekly rental, is $2,400. Okay, some are going to be less, some are going to be higher. But if you're running, a pretty decent tractor with that has a trailer, those are going to be about $2,400 a week. Okay, that's average. Okay, the split is 60-40. 60% goes to the asset owner, the host. 40% comes to Easy Lease. As we get bigger and have more and more hosts and start doing more business, we'll cut that down to 80-20% or a 75-25%. 75% goes to the host, 25% will then come to Easy. But starting out, since we need the revenue, we need to start earning some revenue. Starting out is 60-40. Okay, so 60-40. So average $2,400. Now there gonna be some stuff that we have on the people gonna come in and they're gonna be listing their auto haul trailers and they're gonna be listing their nice almost brand new trucks and things like that. Auto haul, with the truck and trailer. If you've gotten your license to do auto haul and you can come and get one of those trucks and trailer on our side, it's probably around $3,800 per week. But everybody knows that auto hauls can make anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 per week easily in auto hauling. Okay, same thing with heavy haul. Okay, so we have those on there that they will be in that upper echelon price range. But then you have stuff like sprinter vans and box trucks that will be on there for $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a week. Okay, cargo vans, sprinter vans, some box trucks, that don't require CDL, something like that. Box trucks that require CDL, the bigger box trucks and stuff, they'll probably be about $900 to $1,000 a week, maybe $1,100 a week. But for your semi trucks, things like that, on average, $2,400 per week. Drive-in, reefer, flatbed trailers, things like that. With trucks with the reefer trailer, they'll probably be around $2,600, $2,700. Dry vans, $2,200 to $2,400, $2,500. All right, so that's what you're looking at, average on a weekly basis. That times 60%, 60-40. So that means that the asset owner will be getting $1,440 per week. That's what the asset owner will be getting. And we'll be looking at about $864, $900, $950 a week, somewhere around that. So let's say if we only get 100 trucks, and our cut is $864 per week. Now, we're not talking about the money that we're making from dispatching. We're not talking about the money that we're making from factoring. We're not talking about the money that we're making from fuel cards. We're not talking about the money that we're making from the maintenance plan, the warranty plan. We're not talking about, the money that we're making from all this other stuff that we'll be making money from. We're talking strictly on the rental, strictly on the rental income. Okay. We're not talking about the money that we make from the load board that we're going to have on there. A high dollar load board. Okay. Who would not want to pay $29 a month to have access to a high dollar load board where every load on there is above $2.50 per mile? Okay. So we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about just the money that we're looking to make from the rentals. $864 a week. Okay. On average, 100 trucks. Let's just say we're coming in way less, 4 times less than what the average trucking company or leasing company or rental company has in their inventory right now. Active running trucks, on average 400 trucks. And remember, they're splitting 80-20, holding 15% holdback for 12 to 15 weeks, have all the other hidden fees and all this other stuff you got to pay. And we have none of that. So it's safe to say that we'll be able to get 100 trucks, really, in no time. But let's just say that's all we do the first year, 100 trucks. That times 100 will give us $86,400 a week in revenue. Now remember, we're a software company. We don't have the expenses that a trucking company has. So that's pretty much all pure profit. On top of all the other money that we're making from the other revenue streams that are built into Easy Lease software. Okay? So 86.4, okay, on 100 trucks per month. I'm sorry, per week. Let me refresh that. Per week. $86,400 per week. Okay? $86,400 per week times 52 weeks in a year. So first year, after we create the company, right, and we start doing our marketing, we start doing business, that first full year, we're looking at about $4.4 million a year. Just under $5 million the first year. So your question is, can we make money from that? Yes. And that's before we even get to the going public and your stock prices go way up, and that makes you a multimillionaire or a billionaire. We're looking at 4.4 million. So if you're getting your little small percentage, if you invested $4,687 and your cut is 0.3125%, so that times 0.3125%. So you're looking at a return on your $4,687 of $14,040. Now, granted, all of that is not going to be to you because we can't have all of the owners of the company taking their full percentage. Then the company is not making any money. We're just paying out money that we're bringing in. We can't do that. No company can operate that way. Okay. Those of us who own 10% of the company, we will sit down and we will come up with what we call our bylaws, which would govern your actual dividends take for your personal income. For those people who own less than 10%, we'll probably allow y'all to take at least 50% of your dividends as your personal income. Okay. For those of us who own more than 10% of the company, we're going to take probably about 20 to 25%, if that. Because we own more of the company, so our dividend cut is a little bit higher because we invested a lot more. Okay, but our dividends are a lot higher, so our split, the actual dividends that we use as personal income will probably be around about 20%, if that. Okay, but those of you who have less than 10% of the company, you'll be able to take upward to 45 to 50% of your dividends. Now, that's first year. First year. You take that right there. First year, 14, let's just say 14,000. 14,000 first year on your returns. That's if we only get 100 vehicles on the lease. Okay. 50% of that divided by 2. So you made your investment back then some your first year if we only reach 100 trucks. Now, is there any doubt in anybody's mind with all of the benefits that we have? Keep 100% of your line haul, able to self-dispatch, no holdback, no seasoning on the time, being with a company. Is there any doubt that we're going to reach that average 400 trucks that every other lease operating company out there is doing? Because first of all, we're going to be taking a lot of their business. I'm not going to lie to you. Other lease companies, they're going to hate us. They are going to hate us the same way taxi cabs hate Uber and they hate Lyft. The same way rental car companies hate who? Turo. The same way the rental market, the housing rental market, these apartment complexes on in the hotel, the same way they hate Airbnb. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of hate. But guess what? There'll be no stopping us because we're not a trucking company. Just like Airbnb is not a hotel. Just like Turo is not a rental car company. Just like Uber and Lyft and now InRide are not taxi cabs. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of hate. Why? Because we're going to be very successful. So if we're averaging the 400, trucks like what they're averaging right now, and remember, we're going to be taking a lot of the business, a ton of the business we're going to be taking. So you multiply that times 4 on your take. That means if we hit anywhere close to those 400 trucks, you're looking at $28,000 on your $4,687 investment. And that's at the lowest level. That's at the lowest investment level. That's about close to 250 or 300% return on your investment. Think about that for a second. And this is all very, very, very possible. Why? Because other companies have already paved the way for us. They've already laid it out for us. All we got to do is just follow their lead. Literally, that's all we got to do is follow their leads. Okay? So now let's look at those shares that you have. Those 937,500 shares. Okay. Turo is going public. They filed to go public. They're probably going to get a great valuation. Why? Because they're so freaking profitable. So freaking profitable. They're probably going to get a valuation. SEC is probably going to value their company at probably somewhere close to, I would say, about $18 billion. I was reading somewhere where they had a pre-money valuation of about $18.5 billion. Now, with that type of valuation, their shares are probably going to come in somewhere around $150 to $170 a share. Now, let's say we come in at our valuation for 3, 4, 5 years from now. I think we can do it in 3 to 4 years, just like Turo did. But let's say we come in 5 years from now, and during that time, we're building up our, more trucks. And by that time, we're buying some of our own trucks and putting them under our program where we're not running those trucks. We're just renting those trucks out through the software. And we get to keep 100% of that rental fee, not splitting it 80-20, 60-40. We get to keep 100% of those trucks, 100% of that rental fee then. Okay. We still have our host trucks. People are posting their trucks, but by that time, we're buying trucks. $4 million, almost $5 million the first year. We take $2 million of that. Let's say we take $2.4 million of that first year money, $2,400,000 of that first year money, and we buy, $45,000 to buy you a pretty nice used truck. We're not going to go out and buy brand new trucks to start off. We'll probably buy 2-3 year old trucks, at about $45,000 a pop. You divide that by 45,000, and we're going to be able to pick up somewhere in the neighborhood of about 53 trucks. That's 53.33 trucks. That's 53.33 trucks. Let's say 53 trucks. On average, $2,400 a week on the truck. That's $127,000 a week. That gives us $6,614,000 on the trucks that we have in our own, that we own ourselves. That's not counting the trucks that we have from the hosts, people out there who are posting their trucks and doing business that way too. Okay. And by that time, host vehicles are probably going to be well over 100. We'll probably have 300 or 400 host vehicles on there and about 53 of our own trucks. So, I mean, come on. We're looking at well over $12, $15 million at that point per year. And each year we're growing. So by the time we reach that fifth year or fourth year when we're ready to go public, who knows how many trucks and what the revenue is. It's definitely going to be a lot higher than 15 million a year, which means you're making money. Your dividends cut is making serious money at that time, because based on that number right there alone, just from our trucks that we would have in our own inventory, your dividends cut from that at times 0.3125%. You're over $20,000 just on that alone. Okay. So as the years go on, we're making more and more money. Your dividend cuts go up and up and up. But let's say we get to our fifth year and we're going public, right? Your 937,500 shares. Okay. Let's say we get a piss poor valuation. Okay, not $100 a share, not $180, not $150 a share. Let's say we get a piss poor valuation and it comes in at just $50 a share. $50 a share. That means your net worth now just went up to $46,875,000. That's what your $4,687 investment did for you when we go public. If we only get a $55 per share valuation. Let's just say we miserably fail and we get a valuation of $5 a share. Just $5 freaking dollars a share. 937,500 shares for your $4,687 investment times $5 a share. You're still worth over $4 million, $4.6 million. Now you all understand how investing in a startup turns people into multimillionaires and billionaires. Because I guarantee you, anybody that's got at least 1.25 shares, the company, are going to be billionaires. And even down here, you may be billionaires with owning less than 1% of the company if we get a high enough evaluation. It all depends on how well the company does. If we turn out to duplicate what Turo did, $18.6 billion company worth, and those shares are $180 a share. If we turn out to match something like that, and it's very conceivable. Why? Because we're in pretty much we're in exactly the same type of business, same type of software. The only difference is we have a different market. We're in the commercial vehicle market. So if we get an evaluation that's anywhere close to that, right? And you got 937,500 shares, and we get $175, stock valuation. If that happens, you're over $100 million in your net worth for your $4,687 investment. This is what investing in a startup does for you, especially if it's the right kind of startup. And we all know peer-to-peer ride-sharing software has been the blueprint for printing money in the last few years. In the last few years, the blueprint for spending, for making money, has been peer-to-peer ride share companies. Software companies. That's what they are. That's what we are, a software company. A software company. Software companies like that have been the blueprint for printing money. First it was Airbnb, then you had Uber, then you had Lyft, then you had Turo. Now you got InRide. And pretty soon you're going to have Easy Lease. Okay. So those are the breakdowns. Partners will be added via an addendum to our state of Florida's Division of Corporations Registration. Now, everybody that has at least 10%, the company, you are able to be listed on our state of Florida registration. Now, everyone else will be listed on our articles of incorporation on the company bylaws and the company ownership role. Also, once we create the company, soon after we raise the $600,000 that we're seeking, and we file our articles of incorporation, we file with the state of Florida, then we're going to create the shares, and we're going to be using a company called EQ Vista. You can go to eqvista.com if you want to go and see what they're all about. We're going to be creating, it's a company called EQ Vista. It's a company called EQ Vista is what we're going to be creating. They're a cap table valuation managed shares. That's what they do. They manage shares. Okay. We're going to be creating an account with them. And this is where all the shares are going to be managed from. Each shareholder, each of the owners of the company will get their, we'll have an account with EQ Vista where you can go in and you can evaluate your shares. Okay. Now, each shareholder, when they come on with EQ Vista, for the first year, you won't have to pay for your membership with EQ Vista. After that, it's $2 per month. I mean, seriously, $2 per month. And this is where you can, be able to go in and view your shares. You'll be able to see what your shares are doing. You'll be able to see what the pre-valuations are, because each year as we're doing business, the company becomes more and more profitable. So EQ Vista will track all of that for our shareholders. Okay. Now, shareholders, when we get into the other funding rounds, shareholders can sell their shares. Okay. You can sell your shares if that's what you want to do. But it has to be approved by the principal owners of the company. All the principal shareholders have to meet. If you plan on selling your shares, you can't sell your shares for less than what you bought them for. No, you can't do that. Okay, because you're devaluing the company. You can't sell your shares in the in the other capital share rounds for more. You can't sell them for more. I think it's more than 2 cents a share. Because you got them for less than a penny. So you're not in a position to sell your shares the way you're going to be making a whole bunch of money on by selling your shares. I think when we get to round C and D, when we start dealing with hedge funds and other accredited investors, where they'll be paying ungodly amount of money for the shares, even in the for the pre-registered, then you can sell those shares for considerably more. Okay, but you're not going to be able to sell them for like $50 a share, $100 a share, or something. No. Okay, so don't think that, because once you become an investor, that money is then immediately put to work in building the company. So if you decide, okay, well, I kind of run on some hard times, and and I need to pull out of this. Well, the way you pull out is you sell your shares. You can put your shares. We can put your shares out there on the market for the other capital rounds. When they're buying shares and these accredited investors are buying shares, you can add your shares to that pot of the other 200 million shares, and you can sell your shares. But once you sell your shares, you are decreasing your ownership level in the company. Remember that. Once you sell your shares, you're decreasing your ownership level in the company. If you sell all your shares, you no longer have an ownership in the company. So when we go public, you miss out on that, that big earnings, that big net worth that going public creates. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. All right. If you need to contact me, if you want to contact me, if you have any questions, anything, you have concerns, anything, you can contact me at 850. Matter of fact, let me put my contact information. I'm in here right now. I'm going to put copy and paste my contact information. Let me share real quick so I can put that in for you all. If you need to contact me, there's my contact information. You can call me direct, my cell phone at 850-933-4632. Or you can call me at my toll-free number, 866-973-6445. Just hit extension 1. If for those of you who are outside of the country and you want to, and you can Skype me, you can reach me at my Skype link. There it is right there. And you can also email me at calvinbutler@myeasylease.com. That's calvinbutler@myeasylease.com. Straight Joe, I hope I answered your question. And can you make money from there? Yes, you can definitely make money from there. Okay, as you can see, truck drivers will be able to make money. Guys who are wanting to become real owner operators, and not have to sit through all those, 2 years and, seasoning and have to put up with splitting your line haul and paying all of the extra fees and stuff. Come on, just use the software, use the app, connect with private owners who have their vehicles on the app. Owners of the commercial vehicles, and pay your little weekly rental, and that's it. Everything else you take care of. You take care of your insurance. You take care of your, your CDL, your authority, and your permits and plates, just like a real owner operator will. But you have the ability now to go out and grab good paying freight and keep 100% of that good paying freight. You can pay $29 a month and come to our high dollar load board on the app and only see freight that's paying what? $2.50 or better. Okay, so I'll share my screen one more time. Got something I want to show you all here. Now, we have made it easier for you to invest, because now if you're going to become a 10%, I'll take that back. If you're going to become a 5% owner or higher, if you want to invest anywhere from $75,000 up to $300,000, you're going to have to contact me directly and do that via wire transfers. Okay. Any other investment level under 5%, you can do it online. Click here where it says become an early investor, and it'll take you over to where you can do where you can invest and pay it online with any debit or credit card. And I think our Square account allows us to accept to $50,000. Now, there is a way for you to invest up to $300,000 through the Square app, through our Square account. You just have to do it in increments. You have to do it in the increments of the. You can do increments of the 5% investment. Okay, so if you click on ownership level 5%, you click that, and then it shows you what that amount is. $75,000. Well, you can't do that. I'm sorry, you're not gonna be able to do that. That's too high. You have to do it for the 2.5%. I'm sorry, you have to do it for the 2.5%. If you want to do more, if you want to do a $75,000 investment or $150,000 or $300,000 investment, what you have to do is do the 2.5%, and then you have to do it in increments. You can't. The Square app won't let you charge more than $50,000 in one transaction. So you have to come back and do this transaction at least 3 more times or 2 more times to get up, or whatever you need to do it for to get up to that amount. If you're trying to do the 75,000, or if you're trying to do the the 150,000 or the 300,000 to own more of the company. But you can choose your level of investment right here. Let's see if you want to do the 6.25%, which is 9,000, whatever, and then you click that, and then you go over to your cart. It then is in your cart, as you can see, it's there. It's in your cart. 9,000. You put it, put over your cart. $9,375. You continue to check out. Go to your cart, and as you can see here, you can process it right here online. You can, continue with payment. No, there's no tax. Continue with payment. And you can go ahead and put in your debit credit card number. You can pay through Square Pay. You can pay through Google Pay. Put in your information right here. You can even do Cash App Pay. I'm not sure if Cash App goes. I know you can process at least $25,000 through Cash App, but you can even do Square Pay, Cash App Pay, or you can pay directly with any debit or credit card. Okay, so we made it convenient for you all to be able to take advantage of this opportunity, because look, this is the only time. Let me repeat this. Okay, this is the only time. Everyday, ordinary people have an opportunity to become extremely wealthy by being owners of a startup or being one of the shareholders or principal shareholders or owners of a startup. The only time that the federal government, the only time the SEC allows that for your participation in the creation of wealth is during that time. I know the game is rigged. It is rigged. Is it fair? I don't think it's fair. But those are the rules. Those are the rules. Okay? Because after the pre-seed funding round, it's only for people who have a high net worth, who are making at least $200,000 to $300,000 a year. They have a net worth of at least $1.5 million. They have assets totaling up to $2 to $4 million. Those are the only people who can invest and get shares in that company before the IPO stage. Once it gets to the IPO, the stock becomes, highly, inflated, or whatever you want to call it. It becomes, it's given a valuation. Then the stock costs, I haven't seen pretty much any decent company hit the stock market on the IPO for less than $25 a share. Okay. And at any level of investment of what we're doing, that would make you a multimillionaire. On top of the money you already made through the 3, 4, 5 years of us getting there. So is this a great investment? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, look, I appreciate if you want to go and invest in EasyLease, just go to myeasylease.com, hit the invest thing over there where it says become an investor or become a shareholder. You click on that, and then you can get involved and you can invest right online. Look, I thank you all for joining me. For those of you who are watching this later on, and you watch this again, if you have any questions or things, you want to give me a call, please give me a call, 850-933-4632 or 866-973-6445, extension 1. You can email me at calvinbutler@myeasylease.com, or you can visit my Skype link, which is right there in the comment section. You can go to my Skype link, and you can Skype me, and I'll be more than happy to get on and discuss EasyLease and where we're going and what it's going to take for you to become involved. Thank you all. I appreciate you all so much. And remember, I believe so much in EasyLease, I'm putting up my home as collateral. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't get any more committed than that. And I love my home. Okay? Trust me, I love my home. This is what the trucking industry has done for me. Took me from being homeless. I mean, homeless. You can go to my YouTube channel, Diary of a Homeless Entrepreneur, and see more than 100 videos that I filmed when I was homeless, and telling people I was going to start my own business and get myself out of the homeless shelter. So 18 months. I spent 18 months. I'm in the homeless shelter, and I started my first business from the homeless shelter. My last 6 months in the homeless shelter, I was running my business, and that's what got me out of the homeless shelter. When I started my business, I'm in the homeless shelter and finally got it making some good money. I started it right there from a homeless shelter. Okay, so hey, don't get you're not going to find a founder of a startup that is more committed, that believes more in the startup than I do. I believe so much in this, and I've done so much. I've researched leasing companies over the past 3 years, or the past 2 years, and I've researched these software companies: Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Turo, and now InDrive. I've researched those companies, and this is the formula. This is the formula. And none of those companies have dove in deeply into the commercial vehicle market as we will. Turo has some, cargo vans or just a minivan. They have some of those on there, but they don't do like the semi trucks and the box trucks and the big cargo fleets and stuff that we'll be doing. Okay, we will be the first. Let me repeat this: the first peer-to-peer commercial vehicle ride share mobile application for the global market. A software company, not a trucking company. I'll leave y'all with that. Thank you all, and y'all have a great night. I appreciate y'all. I will be probably back here in a couple of days with another video that I'll be doing on updating you all on Easy Lease. We just got a new investor just yesterday. Well, we did pick up another investor yesterday. I'm not permitted to list the names of the shareholders until we become a company. That's part of the SEC rules, but I can tell you all we did pick up another investor yesterday. So we're starting to pick up investors. So if you want to get involved with it, listen to me. If you want to get involved, if you've ever had any aspiration of being more or earning more or getting to that point to where you not only make yourself wealthy, but you make generations behind you wealthy, take a real good look at what we are offering. Don't just dismiss it. If you have the ability to put up at least $5,000, take a real good look at what we are offering, because it could mean that in 3 to 4 years, you could be a multimillionaire or even a billionaire depends on what you invested. Where you're going to get millions of shares for less than a penny a share. You won't get, there is no other time in investing where you have this opportunity to participate like this. Okay? Because federal laws prevent you from participating in any other round after this, after the pre-seed round. The only other chance you'll get after this is the IPO round. And everybody knows all that stock is so high. When you buy it, you're not making yourself wealthy. You're making your grandkids wealthy and your great-grandkids wealthy. That's not for you. When you're buying publicly traded stock, you're buying that for your grandkids, great-grand, and great-great-grand. You're not, because you don't become wealthy on that. Your grandkids do. Okay? If you buy, 100,000 shares of Amazon, which is now like $190, $300 some odd dollars a share, or whatever the case may be, you're gonna spend about $30 million for those shares. $30 million. And guess what? 5 years from now, if you sold them, you're not gonna make much more than what you spent for. So you're not making yourself any money. But when you die and you pass those shares on to your grandkids, if you bought those 300,000 shares today and died tomorrow, your grandkids can sell them and they'll have $30 million. You won't have squat. If you hold on to the shares for the next 15, 20 years, you ain't making no money, because the shares may be worth less than what you bought them for, because that's how public shares do. That's public stock. Okay. So you buy those shares, you spend $30 million. 5 years from now, you try to sell it, and you may only get 29 or 28 million for it, but you spent 30 million. Or if you come out on the up end, you may sell it and get 35 million, made $5 million, but you really didn't make yourself any real money. But if you die and pass those on to your grandkids, guess what? They ain't spent a dime for those shares. So whatever they're selling them for, they are wealthy. So when you buy public stock, you're not buying public stock to make yourself wealthy. You're buying public stock to make your grandkids and your future generations wealthy. That's why they say to create generational wealth. Let me explain something to you. They always say in order to create generational wealth, you have to invest in the stock market. Well, Yeah, you're creating wealth for your generation, but you ain't creating nothing for yourself. that's the catch. The only way to create wealth in becoming shareholders is in the beginning stage of a company, in the startup stage of a company, where you invest in a company before it becomes a company. You are investing in the business model. You are investing in the idea. You are investing in the dream. You are investing in the vision. Okay? That is the only time the federal government allows you to participate in the wealth creation opportunity for yourself and your generations. After that, you got to be wealthy to participate. This is why the wealthy becomes wealthier and everybody else is standing still. Because in this seed capital round, in this seed funding, in this pre-seed funding round, I can't have 100 investors. I can't. Even if everybody came in at the lowest level, that's only going to give me about 42 investors, 42 to 52 investors. So this opportunity at best is only open to about 52 people. You see how narrow that opportunity window is? Because once we reach our funding goal, then that's it. That's it. Regular people can't invest anymore. After that extra 200 million shares that we have left over, we can sell those to money management firms, hedge funds, money market firms, congregators, all these people that's got money. We can sell those to anybody who is worth $200,000, who makes $200,000 a year, and they have to show that they made $200,000 a year for the previous 2 years, and they're on track to make that $200,000 in the current year. If you're single, if you are a couple, you have to show that you earned $300,000 a year for the previous 2 years, and you're on track to make $300,000 a year in your current year. You also have to have a net worth of $1.5 million. Okay. You also have to have assets totaling somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million to $2,500,000. And it's not even just about the money, because once you get to the next round, which is the Series A round and the Series B round, money doesn't even come into play. You have to hold a certain type of status in the business world. You have to have a certain type of credentials. It's not about your money. You got to have the money, but you got to have the credentials to back it up. You see how the game is rigged? The game is really rigged. The wealth building game is really rigged. And this is why the wealthier keeps getting wealthier and everybody else is backpedaling. Because if you don't catch opportunities like this in the beginning, you don't catch them at all. With that, I'll leave you. Thank you all. I appreciate y'all. Again, this has been Calvin with Easy Lease, and I'll see y'all next time. Go visit us. Go visit myeasylease.com. Bye, everybody.